Clients, sorry, funders and stakeholders. Terry's group here. What have you actually got there?
You've got
Counting
counting and reporting.
and reporting. Yeah.
Finding.
And finding. Yeah, finding. What have you got over here?
What do we have to do? Surveying and reporting.
Disseminate.
Surveying, because we have a different view of what you've got to do for you. Is that stakeholders?
Oh, we've got it both.
Right.
We have two masters.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so you're serving your funders and stakeholders.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And their clients.
And you're disseminating to the funders and stakeholders to making sure that the message is getting out.
And also
Yep.
to reflection and
I can see you've cheated and you've got lots of them written on two pages.
Yeah.
That's
So
okay.
we cheated, you said we couldn't do it.
I didn't.
You did say you couldn't do it.
I didn't say you couldn't do it.
It's
You're
not
allowed.
cheating.
Okay. This group over here again, Debbie's group, what have you got in the internal processes box?
Training, running and maintaining.
Training, running and maintaining. And what have,
finding.
oh, and finding. What have you got in the internal processes box?
Training, counting and maintaining.
And also running from earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've both got training in the internal processes box. Can I ask this group why you've got training in the internal processes box?
Yes.
It's ongoing, isn't it? Training.
It's on, is it internal process that you do within your organisation? What
Staff
kind?
training.
Sorry?
Staff training.
Staff training.
Keeping an eye on the ball.
Okay.
Volunteer training.
Volunteer training is part of your internal processes. What about this
So
same
Yeah.
thing?
But we also put training in client standpoint, so delivery training, and also reflection and improvement, because training causes improvement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why we didn't put it in the funds box, I don't know. Could have run out of
because we
paper.
can't train our funders or listeners.
That's true.
I would argue with that. I think people do need to train funders. Maybe it's not our job. Maybe that's the ICT Hub's job to train the funders. Okay.
And we're talking about where the focus should
where
be.
the focus should be. We are talking about where the main focus should be. And if you're an organisation that delivers training to clients as part of your key content of what you do, as part of your key mission, then you're right, training should go in the client standpoint. If it's vital to your internal processes because you're a volunteer-run organisation that you have an ongoing process of training people in order to deliver what you do day to day, then it should go in the internal processes box, goals around that. If that's not the case, then really it belongs in the reflection and improvement box, because it's by training that you improve your staff processes and that improves the running. So again, it is a little bit about what kind of organisation you are when it comes to training. And I'll give you another example of that in a minute.
Because the other issue is maybe we should have a definition between internal and external. I mean, we do a lot of internal training, but we also have to go out external.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that is a very different
Yes.
place that it needs to go.
Yeah. The purpose of this exercise is to try to get you asking yourself some questions about what is it we're actually talking about here. So this is why we allow the shades of grey, and this is why we're having this discussion, because it's much better for you to ask yourself a question than we tell you that goes in that box, that's right, that goes in that box, that's right. So this is about you thinking about it. Reflection and improvement standpoint, what has this group got?
Training, reviewing and disseminating.
Okay. Reviewing is obviously important. Training you've got there because you train people to run the processes better. Disseminating you've got there because?
Why have we got it there?
Because you're taking apart your stats and your information and reflecting on them.
That disseminating is sort of shouting bit though.
So that might be in context of with your own staff. I mean, is that the sort of way you reflect it? Yeah. We sometimes just do things because we instinctively know that that's right, rather than actually take things apart and share it with people in our own organisations.
Yeah.
If you're a big organisation, that's right, internal dissemination, if you're a big organisation, might be a goal because the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing.
But it's got to be in any size organisation. If you've got volunteers in it, if you're asking volunteers to carry out a particular process day in, day out, you need to explain to them why and what effect it's had.
So you're thinking you should disseminate what you're doing across the organisation before you reflect and improve on it.
Well, those are the guys doing it. They're the ones who have the best ideas and that's what putting it out.
Yeah.
Just taking Jane's point earlier, this is the conversation that you've been having internally within your organisation. and only your organisation can shift it in the box. You know, what we're demonstrating here is the dynamics of it, and it's a process that has to happen back at base, I guess. And only you can come up with the right focus for it. There are no there are no right answers to this.
And there are other words, I mean these are just 10 words to try to get you to understand the kinds of things we're concentrating on. But what if I said evaluating, which is a word that's missing there, and I think links very closely with the disseminating thought that you had there.
Infusing.
Infusing. Where would you put evaluating if you were the Evaluation Trust, which is an organisation in the Southwest, whose job it is for their clients to evaluate the work they're doing and tell them how to evaluate better? If you were the Evaluation Trust, you would put evaluating in the client's box.
Yeah.
And you sure as ever get it in the funders and stakeholders box, because you are that organisation, and if you're not evaluating what you're doing, then who is?
Whereas most organisations have it in the lower box,
Well, they
part
always
of the
have it in the
reflection
lower
and
box.
service improvement.
But they may very well have it in the processes, internal processes
Yeah.
box, where user senses. They might have evaluation intrinsic to what they do.
Actually, I have it between those two.
But what we're talking about is goal setting in one area, and we've agreed that the goals move back and forth between each other. So depending on the type of organisation you will have a different focus about what type of activity you're setting goals around. What we want you to avoid doing is doing what you jokingly said here, is look at everything in every box. Because, life's too short. And also, we're trying to get you to sift here and to make decisions. And if you have gaps and you've left something out, it will become clear soon enough. Are we all happy, more or less, with that? Yeah? When you're back at base and you're trying to think about how to set yourself goals, go back to those the four easy words, if you're stuck. And those words are pretty much secure in the box that they're in. It tells you all that in the guide, so you don't have to remember it or take notes. That's what we did. When we did it back at base, we came up with that. So you can see we're more or less on the same lines. These are obviously the day-to-day activities. We've got finding in there, but more or less the same framework. So in other words, we can share a vision about where things ought to be.